Um, welcome. So today we are inviting our beautiful speakers of Show Your Light Live to come and talk about um, what they're going to share with us in the room. Because if anything like me, before I spend some money, I want to know, well, what do I get? What's happening inside the room? So this is what you're going to find out, and we'll also be sharing why I invited Sharon to come and speak, a little bit of background of how Sharon and I met, and how our relationship has, come in and out and unfolded over the years while we've been in business. So welcome, Sharon.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Susie.
Yeah. And I love the title Advocate Leader, and we're going to be sharing more about what that means soon.
Sure.
So tell everyone who you are and what you do.
So I'm so pleased to be having this conversation with you, Susie. I'm Sharon Amesu. I'm a former criminal barrister turned executive and leadership coach who now helps senior leaders, in particular women, taking the lessons from the courtroom into the boardroom and helping them to be better self-advocates and advocates for other people.
We were just saying before, I love the word advocate.
Yeah.
Um, I've never really thought about it in that way before because I'm a stepmom, and I realised when I was first a stepmom when I was 30, I was first a stepmom when I was 30, and my stepchildren were 12 and 14. I didn't really have a clue about what to do. It's only when I look back that I realised any child, I used the word child at the time, all any child needs is someone to believe in them and an advocate for them.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
and I thought about it from that lens. And after we've been speaking, I never really thought about being an advocate for yourself and learn to be
Mm,
an advocate for others. And that's exactly what you do now. That's what you teach in your programs. And I believe that's what
yes.
your podcast is about, which you're going to share with us
Yes.
later. Because it
Yes,
is a
Susie.
skill, it's a mindset, it's a way of thinking that we've probably not thought about before.
It is, and it's so necessary for us to be able to ask for what we need. So clearly, as a barrister for 16 years, there was significant training to be able to advocate, to represent, to be a voice for people who had no voice before. I was a criminal practitioner before the criminal justice system. But what I came to realize when I left the bar, Susie, is that one, the need for advocacy doesn't just sit within the courtroom, that it extends beyond that, and it is a skill that everyone ought to develop and everyone needs to develop. And whether that's advocacy for yourself in the boardroom, whether it's advocacy for yourself in the staff room,
Mm.
articulating your needs to your manager, to a leader, whether it's you as a woman who is running your own business, being able to advocate for your own needs to negotiate more effectively. And what's really interesting as well for me, Susie, is that advocacy doesn't just sit. Clearly, my clear focus is for women who are in leadership positions, leadership roles. But what I've come to appreciate is that this extends into our lives more broadly.
Mm.
For a brief stint, I worked for the General Medical Council in the legal team. And what never ceased to amaze me was the number of cases that came into our room where we were looking at the papers in the sterile environment, and we would see a situation that unfolded where there had been some poor outcome. And you can see those moments along the way where a patient just hadn't spoken up and
Mm.
advocated for their own needs and represented their own interests, even where instinctively they knew something wasn't sitting quite right. And so I began to just really understand that the need to be able to advocate sits across every strata of our lives. I'm also a parent of 3 children. And I recognized early on that it was important, it behooved me as a mum to advocate for the interests of my children, whether it be in the healthcare system or in the education system, to be an advocate, to harness that skill, to have that courage and that mindset and that self belief to stand up and use your voice is something that people need throughout their lives.
I love the way you've said be a voice for you and for your people, because that's what Show Your Light is all about.
Yes.
It's about your story, using your story and your voice because this has power and impact and
Absolutely.
influence. And what I love about it is because they don't cost a penny to use, but we just don't harness it or use it enough.
No, no.
And it's a gift, it's your gift to use. Um, so tell me why you said yes when I invited you to be a speaker at Show Your Light.
Well, the first thing is you, Susie. And I remember the first time that I saw you, and there was just a huge energy that you had about you. It was welcoming. It was contagious, really. And there was a real giving sort of uh, kindness about you that I thought was quite striking. So I knew I wanted to be in your space. And then you reached out and you talked about the space that you are creating, curating for women to be inspired and encouraged. It's very, very much aligned with all of the work that I have done. In fact, when I sort of um, sidestep here somewhat. When I left the bar, Susie, I was doing a lot of work with women who'd experienced domestic abuse. And so female empowerment was always a huge driver for me. So wherever there are the spaces where we are bringing women together and we are equipping them, we are empowering and inspiring and encouraging them to realize, first of all, that they have light and it behoves them to shine that light. I want to be in that space because, as we know, when we shine our light, it gives other people permission to do the same, as Marianne Williamson says.
Yeah, and sometimes you might not be feeling it at that time.
No.
So you don't go in a dark room and keep feeling it that way. You have to go and find the people that can help you find yours as well. Because yes, might be bright and bubbly right now, but it's not a 24/7 thing because I'm always working on your personal development, always doing that positive self-talk. But that wasn't a natural instinct. I think that's from when I started a business. You have to invest more in yourself, become more self-aware, and keep going to spaces like this to fill your cup up. And that is my networking strategy. So I host events like this, and I also go around to other people's events to fill my cup up. But I also surround myself with fabulous people like you, so where we can remind each other all the
Yeah.
time that we're doing good things and to keep going. Um, so thank you for saying yes.
No, that's
Um,
wonderful.
what are you going to help people do and think differently on the day after they've experienced your talk?
So I want every single woman who enters that room to understand that they have the power to be the biggest advocate for themselves. They have the power and they have the permission to do that. And so often, I have found within my own life, when working with clients, that what sits at the heart of inaction, of paralysis, of question is this sense: do I have permission to do this? And do I have the power to do this? And sometimes I remember when I was at school, primary school, Susie, and there, in particular, primary school, you had very strict guidance about who could be in the corridor when lessons were going on, right? And you had to be in the classroom when it was class time, and when there was break time, then you could be about the school. But if you were found outside of the classroom when there was a class going on, you had to have a good explanation, and you'd have to have had a permission slip from your teacher to explain why you were not in the room where you should have been, right? And if you were ever caught sort of not being where you should be without a permission slip, then you were fearful, then you were anxious because you knew you were going to be in trouble. And
Yeah.
so often we walk around our lives like that, feeling that we don't have permission to speak, we don't have permission to advocate, we don't have permission to ask. And therefore, because we don't feel that we've got permission, we don't. And so for me, I aim to do through my time with the women of Show Your Light is to say, here is your permission slip. And everything that you have been aspiring for, everything that you've been having within your heart, within your inner knower, as that big ask, as that big dream, the goal, the aspiration, the growth, if you've been holding yourself back, if you've wondered whether or not you're capable, if you've asked, do you have that power? Do you have the authority? My presentation will be saying, here is your permission slip, and here are the skills and tools that you need to make it happen.
Oh, we talked about, so you'll be doing a workshop, and in the booklet there will be a workshop page, but I just have a vision then of like, here's my permission slip. Do you mean?
Yeah.
So we can, you can have it printed, and then you
precisely
put like 5 on a page and rip it up, and my permission slip today. That sounds ace. It's like an affirmation. So instead of an affirmation, permission.
Yep, absolutely.
That would be ace. What one thing are you going to give yourself permission to do today?
Permission to do today.
Oh, that's it. That's your strap line. That's your. I remember when I was 30. So I'm a qualified accountant. I don't think I grew up to go, I want to be an accountant. But I ended up in an environment where I was in that environment, and there was older men who were trying to tell me that 1 + 1 was 3, right? And I thought, it's not. You know, it's not. But you don't feel confident enough, you've not got the right skills, you're not old enough, you don't want to be cheeky, or and so I did my qualifications. But even still at 30, 35, when I was going into teams and doing change management, or I knew that something was wrong, I never felt confident enough. But there was one lady, my manager, who I used to always ring. We used to work together, and we went different places, and she became a good friend. And I used to always ring her up and go like, do you know what? There's a situation going on at work. I don't think it's this. I don't think that's right. I think it's this. And I knew it deep down, but then I started talking myself out of it. Do you mean? You don't listen to your body tells you everything. You don't listen to it. And so she'd let me speak. She wouldn't, like a good leader would. She never said anything. She just asked the right questions. I had all the answers. And she said to me, Susan, you know what you need to do. You're just ringing me up for permission.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah. And I went, I am. She went, you have permission to go and say this. Do you know what I mean? And it is, until you start trusting,
so powerful. Yeah.
And listening, and have the courage and confidence, and surrounding yourself. Well, you're going to teach the tools and techniques to start having that.
Absolutely.
But also surround yourself with advocates. Be your own advocate, and other advocates, to build that muscle, your advocate muscle. Yeah. But it's interesting, your story, because everything comes from school, doesn't it? Everything comes from childhood and those negative experiences. Even your first work experiences, I think, sometimes.
Absolutely. Those sort of early days in education has been a key driver, even for me entering into the legal profession, actually, Susie. So I saw, when I was growing up during the 70s and 80s, I saw huge injustice in the education system in relation in particular to Black pupils. And my dad became an advocate for my brothers in the education system. Right. And so I learned early on the importance of advocacy and the power of advocacy. And what was significant for me, which is why I feel the power of understanding permission needs to come from within, is my dad was a titular leader. In other words, he didn't have a title. There was no one who appointed him as the leader of a community forum to enable parents to come together and speak to those issues on behalf of those children. He saw the need, and he responded to the need. And it was acknowledgement and seeing that need that gave him permission to be a voice. Yeah. And so for all of us, whether it be in our business, whether it be raising our prices, whether it be negotiating for better conditions, whatever it might be, that is the need that we see. And there lies the permission for us to use our voice.
Mm-hmm. I've always said, you don't have a title to lead. You don't need permission. We're always influencing people.
Yeah.
We're being influenced by people, by your actions and what you say. All these sayings now that come out when I've had a business, like actions speak louder than words. And they do, don't they? And I think for me, that comes from, in my 20s, I wasn't very good with choosing the right men, right? But in my 20s, I gave my heart away, my first love. I gave him my heart, and he was 14 years older than me. Like, I look back now, I thought, oh gosh. But he wasn't, some people call him a lovable rogue. He was, right? And after the third time we broke up, do you know what I mean? He'd come back to me and go, oh, no, I love you, I want to marry you. And in the end, like, we will get married and all that. And in the end, I just looked at him and thought, these are empty words. And that's when I realised actions and how you make people feel.
Yes.
Your everyday, consistent actions and words, your words that match your actions and your face and your whole body.
Yeah.
So that's when I realised, at that age, that actions speak louder than words. And do what you say you was going to do. You know, all these sayings
Yes.
that my mum used to say to me all the time, I didn't really get. Do what you say you was going to do.
Yeah.
So yeah. I first met you. So you were speaking when I first started networking. Again, no clue where to go, what to do. You started a business. I Googled networking groups near me. And when I was having one-to-ones with people, everyone told me about Sue France and Kirsty James, and the other name escapes me. Oh gosh, menopause brain.
I know who you mean.
Anyway, they did KTS. Trisha, there you go, Trisha.
Yeah.
They did KTS. There was an annual event, wasn't it? And I think it was the first year they was doing it. I lived in Warrington at the time, so I went. I knew I had to go. There was a call, and I just had to be there for all those reasons, like inspiration, community, like learning. And you was a speaker at that event. I was open, I was ready to receive, and I just sat there and watched you talk and listen to you speak. And you're so calming, so knowledgeable. I just felt at ease and just received everything you said in a calming, like confident way. And you made an impression on me. And gosh, that would have been maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you would have told me then, like, you and Sharon would be having a conversation and she'll be speaking at your event, I would have gone like, no, I don't even run networking groups. I'm not doing events.
Wow,
so
thank you.
It just goes to know, like, people bring you everything you need, and relationships are really important. And you never know where you will meet again and be working with each other again. So that's why every time I left work, I always made sure it was a good ending, because that last touch point is
true.
Every touch point is the last thing that people remember about you.
Yes, absolutely.
So make sure,
good terms where possible.
Because people still ring me up now where I might have worked at Marks and Spencer's, Tetra Pak, and they'll ring me up and go, hey, Susie, I don't know if you remember this person, but they're coming for an interview and they worked at where you worked at the same time. Can you tell me what they're like? Were they a good person? So that's what we do. We vouch for each other. We need to we validate each other, don't we? Like, people will say, what do you think about Susie Sprigg? Is she okay? And hopefully people go, yeah, she's all right. What do you think about Sharon? Yeah, she's absolutely fab. So we're advocating for each other as well.
Yes. Brilliant illustration.
So tell us more about how people can work with you right now. What you've been doing so much. What's next for you for the next 12 months?
Yeah, thank you. So I work both in corporate organizations and also run programs, coaching programs for, in particular, women. I work with our male counterparts as well, but I really do focus my work on women, not least because of the understanding of the sort of experience that I have both personally and professionally of the challenges we face. And so the key ways to come into my world, as it were, is first of all through the podcast. And I'm going to be launching later on this year, which is going to be focused on the advocate leader. And it's going to be talking about all of those things that I mentioned earlier, equipping the audience, that community, with the skills, the know-how, the knowledge, and the mindset to be better self-advocates and advocates for other people. I'm also going to be launching a membership community which provides that space for people to come together who are like-minded. Again, that's going to be focused on women, equipping them with the skills and the know-how in a community curated space to be able to build those capabilities, really, to be strong advocate leaders. Because if ever we needed strong advocate leaders and female strong advocate leaders, it's now. We need a huge counterbalance to much of the leadership that we're seeing across society and across the world. And so it's really building up the strength and the skills and the know-how for that demographic, and also running programs. And so I've got an advocacy accelerator, which is going to be bringing women in a cohort form, training them, equipping them, coaching them, upskilling them with those capabilities to go out into their workplaces, to negotiate more effectively, to go out into their business, to accelerate them, etc. So those are the three key ways over the next 12 months that people will be able to engage in my world.
I'm so excited for that, because negotiation, that's another word as well, because sometimes you might have the voice to say something, and then how do you then keep, because it's good to say it the first time, but then how can you keep that healthy dialogue open? Because I think we've lost the art of negotiating. I think it turns into,
yeah, for sure.
You don't believe me, it turns into I think Twitter did that, didn't they? Where it's like, if you don't agree, you might not agree with my opinion, but you should be able to listen and understand and try and see it from my point of view. I think we've lost that skill, haven't we? The listening.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. We've got a clickbait world. And the clickbait world means that we just have this pithy statement which heightens the senses, and it evokes a binary approach to life and living. You're either with me or you're against me. It's very adversarial. And I think that's what's distinct about my approach, Susie, that the advocate is not the enemy. The advocate is a person who understands their own needs, but also the effective advocate. I'll give you a for instance. So I remember when I was training, and the barrister, my pupil master, I was asking him early on, what makes for a good advocate, etc. And one of the things that he said to me was, one, do your best to understand the needs, the desires of both the jury, if you're doing a jury trial, but also the tribunal. Because if you understand them, then you're able to be a better advocate. Because when you're negotiating, essentially, you're seeking to persuade them of your position, then you'll know what's a problem for them. You'll understand what the issues are for them, and that understanding and that awareness will help you then to engage their ear more effectively. But so often now what we have is a situation where it's just them and us. It's enemies, and I can't hear your view, and it's so binary and so polarizing. Whereas if I create this space, and the effective advocate is able to hold truths together and be able to articulate. So you're not compromising on what your view is, right? Or what your needs are even, but you're able to do so from a place of being more aware and emotionally intelligent, and be able to read the room. And it makes for a much better advocate and a much more impactful leader.
And that's what I share on my Connect Code as well. So I do DISC personality profiling, and I was 43 years old when I finally worked out who the hell I was. I was listening to what everybody else was telling me who I was. Like, all my skills weren't skills. Like, you're too loud, you're never at your desk. So all my attributes that made me good, I was just in the wrong environment.
Yes.
So now step one is understanding you, and step two is understanding others.
Yes.
And then the third thing you need to do is think about the outcome. I always think about a win-win outcome. And then once you know the outcome you're looking for, who are you speaking to, and how do I need to adapt my message? Yeah. So why should someone who might be sat there now thinking, oh, I'm not too sure, should I come? Is it for me? What would you say to them?
I would start off by saying that something I believe COVID taught us is that connection and the power of connection cannot be overstated, in particular in the current environment. And there's a lot of controversy about sort of visibility and being in spaces right now. But what I would say is this: I have seen in my own business, Susie, that my opportunities have come when I've been in the room.
Mm.
And how one does that, sort of, you're not just in any room, you're not just spraying, you're being strategic about that, you're also being mindful of balance and energy, etc. but
Mhm.
i but I've come to understand the power of visibility and proximity, of having a conversation with another person in the room, of them telling me and me being able to hear about some of the issues and challenges that they're having, and then being able to connect the dots or build a dotted line between perhaps how I might be able to help or someone I know might be able to help. And that is what this space will be all about. It's about us coming together, filling our own cup, as you said, because
Mhm.
a lot of people's energies are depleted for various reasons, just life sometimes, but also the environment that many of us are facing into. Coming into a space with like-minded people where you already know what's going to be inside, because the message is straight on the tin: show your light, right? It assumes that you have some, and so that you're going to be among people who will help you to ignite yours, and where flames come together, they become powerful. And so coming into that space with like-minded women who are energized to be supporters and champions and advocates for you, you just can't overstate how impactful that will be. And I know for sure from personal experience and professional experience that when you are in the room with those sorts of people, you cannot begin to imagine what's possible for your business, for your leadership, and even for your own personal growth. And so I would say be there, don't miss it. There are going to be amazing speakers.
Thank you very much. Oh, that was so lovely to hear. And I've shared in my book, number one bestseller, by the way, in my
Brilliant.
chapter, six,
Amazing.
six categories. Um,
Amazing.
I've shared in my chapter how about networking, the community that is, we are so blessed to be able to have access to this community. All these, you fabulous women, you guys saved my life. You saved my, it saved my business because I started a business in lockdown. I was a widow, home alone. Everything, the world went quiet, and Zoom became my window of connection. I cannot tell you
Wow.
that this is why I'm so comfortable speaking like this with people, because this is what I got up for every day. This is
Yeah.
what made me carry on, and to see smiley faces and to learn and connect, because energy is transferring right now.
Yeah.
It saved my life. It saved my
Amazing.
business.
Yeah.
And this is why I love what I do. And this, I feel like that was my calling now, to create online spaces and spaces in real life, in person, so that we all get to experience that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, lovely, for coming on today. You look
Pleasure.
fabulous. You're fabulous
Thank
as
you.
always.
Thank you.
Um, and
Likewise.
I'll looking forward to finding more about your communities and your
Thank
podcast.
you.
Your podcast, are you taking guests or is it
Oh yeah, I will be for sure.
cool? So
So it'll be a blend of solo episodes and
yeah,
guest episodes.
fabulous. And we'll see you all on the 19th of June.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Susie.